Hello folks and welcome back to my next video. I'm really sorry that I took so long with uploading the next action, but I have been preparing something for you that I think you guys will really appreciate and like. I decided to run a new sort of video series on my channel, which will be called something along the lines of I am Andras versus the Legends, and as such it's going to be a very short series because I haven't really played that many good games and I didn't really play against a lot of famous players in the past, but I did have my moments and I thought that I would share you these precious moments. If you look at the screen, this is actually the final standing of the Under-16 World Championship that was held in Yerevan in 1997. This was by far my most successful junior tournament. As you can see, if I scroll a little bit down, I came 21st in this competition, but I would really like to ask you to have a look at the field of what sort of players played here. The competition was won by Grandmaster White Leventer, who is now 26 something. Second, Aronian Levon, one of the best players of the world. The next few players are somewhat lesser known compared to the first two dudes. In fact, all the way down to 11, where we find Bruzon, one of the best players of Cuba, well above 2600. Fressinet, well above 2700. One of the best, if not the best. Oh no, because Vachier Lagrave is best, so probably second best French player at the moment. Berg Emmanuel from Sweden, outstanding German Grandmaster. Charbonneau Pascal, one of the best Canadians. Peter Arch, who sadly retired from chess at the peak of his career when he reached 2650, 60s or thereabouts. Akobian Varujan, one of the most distinguished American grandmasters at the moment. I would say in the second wave behind Caruana and Nakamura. And then myself as a bit of a lesser known dude there. And then look who is coming after me. Vallejo Pons Francisco, best Spanish grandmaster, well above 2700. Fedorchuk Sergey from Ukraine, nearly reached 2700. Sargsyan Gabriel, second best Armenian player for a long time. And the list just goes on and on and on and on. It was an incredible competition. I really enjoyed myself. I really had a lot of fun. Played against really strong players in this competition. I played against Aronian. I played against my fellow Hungarian Peter Arch. I played against, I lost to Peter. I played against Fedorchuk. I drew from a better position. I played against Kobilkin, who just came ahead of me. I played against Akobian. Oh, I didn't mention, by the way, Magami, who is the best Egyptian grandmaster at the moment. And probably that's it. I don't think I played against... Oh, I played against Buntsman, who came fourth. So I played a super strong field again, and I really enjoyed myself. That was the first time, actually, when I flew overseas, and chess just went really my way. I had so much fun there, and I decided to show you a game from this competition, which, if you listened carefully about the people who I said I played against, then you will obviously figure that it's going to be none other than my game against Levon Aronian. Here it comes. And I'm going to cover up the result so that we will see what happened here. As you can see, there are very cool pictures taken from the time of me and Lev as well. And by that time, as you can see, my rating was 2280, which was a pretty strong rating actually, considering the rating inflation that took place since then. 2280 at the age of 16 wasn't too bad. Almost 20 years ago. Nowadays you would just go like, yep, go and find a new profession, buddy. But back then I was still ambitious about becoming a pro, so it was actually quite interesting to see these guys and the likes of Aronian, who for example was dominating the competition and played amazing chess. So here it is, me being white against Lev in this game that started off as the dragon, which was a very important part, an integral part of his repertoire, and I have been a very big aficionado of the 9G4 system. Now bishop d7 here is already a bit of an inaccuracy, and castles is the way to go for a variety of reasons. One of them is that because after g4 the best move for black is actually bishop e6 instead of bishop d7. So left played bishop d7, I continued g4, rook c8, very standard dragon stuff. I castled, and this is where basically things went out of hand for Lev, who by the way knows the theory against this line really well, because he actually played against this line. I can't remember if it was before my game or after, but I was watching him and I just went like, God, this guy is such a legend. He just played so well and with such ease. It was just a pleasure to watch, and he was actually a year younger than most of us, and yet he only came second. Or the main reason why he came second, I'm going to spoil the fun a bit, is this game. So he played this funky sideline and he threw h5 in. Now I would like to basically bust a myth here. A lot of players, even really good players, like to play this early h5 move against g4 in the dragon, believing that after g5, knight h7, the king side gets closed off, and then they get to attack on the queen side, and I won't have anything on this side of the board at all. Well, the reality, however, is that whilst the first part of the statement is true, more or less, that I can't attack on the g and the h files, I can still attack by means of f4, f5, and I can also have a very good play in the center, since now the knight is no longer controlling crucially important central squares. So my knight d5 plans followed by f4, f5 will be very strong. And in fact, the other issue here is that to recover this piece is gonna be ridiculously hard. So to cut the long story short, it's a rubbish move. And I think Lev knew it really well, that this was not the way to play. But if you look at his rating, 2435, my rating, 2280, he may have assumed that he would get away with this and still beat me. I'm not saying he underestimated me, because even then he was a super nice guy. But you know, there is chess psychology and preparation and whatnot. He may have sniffed out that back then I was a very well informed dude about opening theory. I knew really well my openings actually back then, so he might have wanted to play, you know, in a lesser known territory. Anyhow, g5, knight h7, king b1, perhaps a little bit unnecessary, but fits in really well with what I'm about to do. He's going to swing the queen out to a5 anyway, so it's handy to have the king on b1 to cover everything up. And by the way, from here on I hardly ever make a move that the computer wouldn't list either as first or second choice, so it was a really well played game on my behalf, and not that I want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm very proud of it. f4, once again the knight is a very sad sight on h7, rook e8. Not quite sure why this move was played other than trying to redirect the knight, but you can already see that if that's the best black can do, then the whole strategy is an epic failure, because he was supposed to stop my attack here and be busy with his own, and in fact he hasn't quite stopped me and he's doing nothing on the other wing. Okay, bishop e2. I thought it was necessary to take control of the bishop coming out this way on occasions. Maybe it was not the best, I don't know, but yeah, that bishop needs to go somewhere. Bishop e2 makes a lot of sense. Knight f8 and rook f1. So now the plan is obviously to play f5, restricting their pieces. He played queen a5, not so sure. Perhaps it would have been somewhat wiser to take on d4, bishop takes, queen takes. I'll show you this variation here, and the knight is knight e6 to at least bring the knight back. But you can see that after something like queen here or queen here, my knight is about to come into d5. The e6 knight is misplaced, f5 is pending. I have got a very dangerous redeveloping attack, and there is nothing whatsoever happening on the queen side. This is the ultimate failure of the plan that started with pawn h5 on move 10 for black. So not wanting to play like this, Lev decided to throw queen a5 in. Really the first move that sort of indicates that he wants to do something on the queen side, and look, by now I'm biting into this pawn chain and I'm creating weaknesses already around the king. He played bishop e5. It is very important to take control of weakened squares. The only downside of f5 is that it weakens the e5 square very badly. However, weak squares almost always need to be exploited by knights. It's just a general rule of positional chess that weak squares are exploited by knights, but putting the knight there would lead to disastrously passive position after f6. So he couldn't simply do that, and in fact the reason why he played bishop e5 was not so much to put the piece on the weak square, but to prevent f6 shutting the bishop down forever. However, this means that now I can exploit the weaknesses on the white squares, which means that I can take on g6 and then bishop c4 check. You can see that the black's king position is very airy, so he really has to tread carefully. And now bishop f7 is coming in, super annoying, hitting the weak g6 pawn, meaning that the knight is not going anywhere, and he now has to waste another rook move, where he would much rather like to do some aggression on the queen side. Queen f2, very logical move, trying to put more pressure on the f-file, and at the same time moving out of the diagonal of the queen, which means that now my knight is free to go to d5 without even allowing a queen swap. My position is developing beautifully. I have got more and more threats. My pieces are improving move by move, whereas black is basically just standing in one spot trying to dodge all the jabs and hooks coming at him. I decided to simplify the position a bit. Swap swap, followed by bishop h3. So that is supposed to inconvenience my rook, and that was the only moment when I failed to find something that Houdini came up with. I played simply rook e1, which I thought was a very logical and simple way to continue the game, but in fact I could have left the exchange hanging, since after knight d5, bishop takes, rook takes, this knight exerts so much pressure onto the black position that it is bound to collapse in a matter of moves. In fact, he doesn't really have an adequate response to the pending knight takes e7, and as a result of that, as I said, the position is about to collapse. One beautiful tactical line would be rook here, bishop takes, pawn takes, and knight takes e7, still taking the pawn because rook takes allows queen f6 check with taking the rook and then checkmate to follow in a few moves. Beautiful stuff. I totally didn't see it. I mean, I played fairly good chess in this game, but not this good chess. So I played rook e1, bishop went back to e6, and I played knight d5. I would like to once again pause here for a second, because I would like to show you that although it is stock standard in the Dragon that you just run your pawns up like there was no tomorrow, create an open file and then mate on the open H file, you can, and in fact you do, win most of your games by active piece play. And in fact I defeat my opponent and his king actually to quite a large extent by only playing really well in the center. Remember how this bishop got in here too. If you look at how my pieces are organized at the moment, covering the center, covering the center, covering the center, in the center, in the center, everything is about the middle of the board. And this just has a very nasty effect on the position, because I've got so many different threats that it's very difficult to handle. And he actually failed to handle the upcoming tactical threats, including the previously shown knight e7, and he took me an f7, which obviously allowed my queen to enter the position, and there is just no salvation anymore. He must lose now the game. We have to note though that this rook is hanging, so after bishop takes I can't take back on the bishop because mating one down here, but knight takes e7 is going to be actually allowing me to mate him first, because now this mate can't be stopped other than moving the knight, in which case knight here is going to be a beautiful checkmate. So Levon decided to play queen a4 here, setting up his own threat against c2, but this is really total desperation here, because in fact queen takes c2 is not a threat. I can simply dodge it by moving to a1, so I can carry on with my plan. Knight takes e1, queen takes c2, king a1, and now my main threat is queen g8 mate, and he has got no threats whatsoever left, so he had to bring back the queen. And actually in this position it was my second blunder, but it didn't really affect the outcome of the game. I didn't see a very basic tactics. I took the queen, he took me back, and after bishop takes e5 he resigned the game, because not only is he losing a piece now, but after king h7, rook f1, in order to avoid the mate, he even has to take the bishop, and thereby allowing me to take the rook. But there was an even easier way to win the game here, after queen c4, which would have been bishop takes, pawn takes, and then knight takes check, forcing the knight to take, rook check, rook takes, and the queen drops for free in the end. Either way, I managed to score an amazing victory. I was incredibly happy after this game. After all, I defeated a player hugely outrating me, and actually by this stage, this game I think took place 4th or 5th round. I have seen him play for 4 rounds, and God, he was impressive to such an extent that it was more fun sometimes to just stand up and watch him play than playing my own game. So I was super happy with this game, and actually after the game and during the competition, I earned a fair bit of respect from the Armenian delegation. Well, not really delegation, because they were the host country of the competition, and I have to say that these otherwise already super friendly people treated me really nicely throughout the competition, which made me feel even better. And in fact, almost 20 years later, I caught up with Levon a number of times here in Australia, because he has a girlfriend who is from Australia, and so in the past few years he traveled out to Australia a couple of times, and we always caught up at dinner or whatever together, and shared pleasant memories. And this game came up a number of times, and he actually does remember the fact that I beat him. So I have got a +1 score against one of the best players of the world. The only minor issue is that I played it against him when he was only 2400. Now, if you look at this game again, it's easy to see what a shocker it was for him to lose to me, because that was his only loss throughout the whole competition. And had he beaten me, which he would have done, I guess, 8 times out of 10, there's no way that he wouldn't have won the competition. Actually, he ended up later winning a world championship, but this would have been really awesome for him to win in his hometown. And it's a bit sad that I took it away from him, but at the same time, this is a game that I will be very proud of, and just in itself it was well worth playing chess for however many years to defeat such a fantastic player. So yeah, and it was a really great comp. As I said, I won a lot of rating points. I came ahead of 5 other players than myself, and yeah, it gave a bit of a boost, in fact, to my chess ambitions. So yeah, it was fantastic, and up to date, of course, he is the most famous player I have ever played and defeated. So yeah, it is a really great memory, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I am still enjoying thinking about it. The game was quite interesting, had lots of interesting psychological and chess elements that I think were worthy of discussing. And I will definitely be back with a few more games of this type against other legends. Not a lot, sadly, but there are still a few up my sleeve. So please be ready for them, and don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the game, because I am hoping to actually grow the channel as best as I can, and grow out to be a very popular chess YouTuber. Hopefully Levon has helped me to increase the popularity now. Once again, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll be back with more soon. Bye.